Hello guys, I decided that I'm done making things and instead I will now be a YouTube news slop channel. And today we have a truly crazy situation with the Analogue3D. Now if you don't know, the Analogue3D was a console teased a while ago. It was supposed to release in 2023, then it was delayed to 2024, and then it was delayed again to 2025. This is supposed to be a Nintendo 64 reimagining. Apparently, someone looked at an original Nintendo 64 and they said, what if you gave it 4K, made it more expensive, and then delayed it for 2 years? And Analogue was like, bet. Yep, I'm talking about the Analogue3D, the luxury Nintendo 64 experience nobody asked for, but now that it exists, everyone's kind of morbidly curious about it. This console is designed to make you feel nostalgic, broke, and betrayed all at the same time. Have you ever stared at a console so long that it starts gaslighting you into thinking it's already released? Yep, that's where we're at. Let me just say, right now, retro gaming is in its NFT era. It is rare, it is overpriced, and everyone's pretending it's worth more than it is. People out here are treating Nintendo 64 consoles like they're fine wine. Like, bro, this thing used to overheat if you breathed too loud next to it, and you can get it on eBay for 50 bucks. The original Nintendo 64 controller was basically a trident with commitment issues. You needed 3 hands to hold it, and one of them had to be emotionally unavailable. Analogue is like if Tesla and the garage sale had the baby and gave it a trust fund. The gaming industry can't release a working AAA game, but they can definitely repackage a console from 1996 and charge $250 like it's the PlayStation 6. The Analogue3D is a modern reimagining of the Nintendo 64, but in practice it's like putting a spoiler on a shopping cart. It outputs games in 4K, which is great if you've ever wanted Mario's nose to look like an origami knife. Now, this uses FPGA hardware, which they are saying means that it uses no emulation, but of course, if you know anything about this, FPGA is just hardware emulation instead of software emulation, which does have its advantages. For example, if you wrote a 100% accurate software emulator for the Nintendo 64, you would probably be looking at a 5 FPS program, whereas with an FPGA, apparently you can get it at 60 FPS with 4K output. Basically, FPGA is tech speak for we spend a ton of money to make sure GoldenEye runs with the exact same jank you remember. Because they are taking no shortcuts in the emulation, they want it to be accurate as possible. Of course, if you played on a software emulator, you probably would be unable to distinguish it from real hardware anyway. Now, while it is first revealed in 2023 and then delayed to 2024, it has now been postponed to July 2025. And at this rate, this thing's gonna drop the same day the Skynet goes live. If they delay it again, they might as well launch it alongside the PlayStation 7 and the Alien Invasion. There's still no gameplay footage and no actual UI preview. All we've seen so far is a render and a dream. Now personally, I have pre-ordered one because I want to, for you guys, test this down to its bones to see if it is actually 100% compatible with everything the N64 does. And spoiler alert, I've talked to one of the devs and it is not. But because they have been nice enough to let me know that beforehand, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and maybe say Analogue is 100% compatible with every original N64 game ever made is accurate. Because the things that it is inaccurate in are likely not actually used in any N64 game, so it doesn't matter. But it will matter for ROM-hacks. Now, okay, features. What features does it have? It has a cartridge slot, which supports original Nintendo 64 games from all regions. So if you own a Japanese cartridge from 1998, congrats, it is finally useful again. It does have 4 controller ports, as you can see in the renders here, with the OG layout. So yes, you can once again fight your siblings over who gets the broken controller. Also, this will lead to cable spaghetti, which means plumbers around the world, Italian plumbers around the world, rejoice. although it does also have Bluetooth support, so you can wirelessly rage quit across the room. Allegedly, of course, one cool thing about Bluetooth controller that maybe you don't even know. Nowadays, Bluetooth controllers have less input lag than wired controllers. This is because when you have a wired controller, the signal has to go all the way through the controller. Whereas, if you have a wireless controller, it takes the landline, the shortest possible path, directly into the console. My console is right there. They claim that this console has lag-free HDMI output because nothing says immersion like watching Kirby in 4K while crying over your bank account. Now, is it truly lagless? We don't know. Probably not, because that sounds impossible. They also say this comes with a new OS, the 3D OS. Whatever that is, it's a custom system that probably exists, but might also be imaginary, like your gym goals. Supposedly has CRT filters, screen warping, and all the stuff you hated, but now pretend to love for authenticity. This thing's got more filters than Instagram models. You can play Ocarina of Time in Moody Noir if you hate yourself enough. Now, Analogue also teamed up with the 8-bit Doom to make a wireless Nintendo 64 controller that doesn't feel like it's made of leftover McDonald's toys. Now, I actually use this controller. Right here, I've showed it just before. I vastly prefer this over Xbox controllers. Every Xbox controller I ever had breaks within 2 or 3 months of use. This thing here, so far, hasn't broken, and that's already a large upside. Although it costs $40, and it is sold separately, of course, because Analogue knows your pain as a price, and it is exactly $40 apparently. Now the console is priced at $250, just slightly cheaper than a PS5 digital edition and significantly less useful. It will be scalped harder than a Charizard card at middle school recess, with no controller included and no game demos, but you do get hope. There's no ROM support either, so you actually need to own the physical games like it's the Stone Ages. But of course, I assume that there's going to be a backdoor exploit somewhere that lets you play ROMs. They just don't want to say it right now, because they don't want to get in beef with Nintendo. But surely this is going to be a huge selling point. There's also no multiplayer features beside local, which is really sad, because almost all Nintendo 64 games have couch multiplayer, and nowadays no one does couch multiplayer anymore. So having online support there would have been amazing. I know it is possible because other emulators, yes, I'm calling this an emulator, have that support. Because why play with friends online where you can direct 3 people to your apartment like it's 2002, right? There's no clear UI or menu shown so far, possibly because it's just a sticker stapled to a Raspberry Pi. No mention of modding, homebrew, or piracy, aka the holy trinity of retro gaming. Now, fortunately for us customers, Mod Retro, founded by Palmer Luckey, who is the Oculus guy who does VR stuff, is teasing a rival Nintendo 64 console. Now, I actually do have a very tiny bit of insider information here, but I don't know anything about this, and I won't reveal anything. But so far there's no specs, no price, and no idea what it does. But knowing Palmer, it will probably support brainwave inputs and come with a libertarian manifesto. So yeah, the retro console beef is heating up. Finally a war that matters to exactly 37 people on Reddit. Now I personally have pre-ordered an Analogue because I want to make a video about it. I want to test it for you guys and see if it's actually accurate. Because as they say, Analogue3D is 100% compatible with every N64 game ever made. Now I have insider information here too, because I made a tweet that said, hey, there's this crazy feature. I wonder if the Analogue supports it. And then an Analogue dev wrote me, and they said, you little asshole, we don't support it. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt, because they have admitted to it right away, and say maybe since then they have supported it, And also, saying Analogue3D is 100% compatible with every original Nintendo 64 game ever made might still be accurate, because the feature that I was talking about, them not emulating, was so obscure that I don't think any original Nintendo 64 game ever made actually uses this. The feature I'm talking about is using the 9th bit of every byte on the Analogue3D on the Nintendo 64 to store more data. Very obscure feature, no one would ever need that. So yeah, maybe this is true. Maybe it's true what they're saying. Anyway, is this worth it? Well, do you want a 4K Nintendo 64? Then maybe. Do you want to pay $250 for the right to maybe play GoldenEye in slightly better resolution and more existential regret? That's on you. Now, of course, you could also just set up an emulator like RetroArch, Parallel Launcher, Modern Project 64, and get practically the same experience, minus a little bit of the nostalgia feeling. You are not going to be able to tell apart an original Nintendo 64 and an emulator unless you are like a huge nerd. And with graphic plugins like, what's it called? The shit Wise Guy and Dario are making. I don't know what it's called. But with those, you will get 4K raycasting, 2000 FPS Nintendo 64 games on a software emulator. So honestly, maybe that is what you really want. This thing might just be a really expensive nostalgia generator, like a Tamagotchi for your bad decisions. In the end, you're probably not buying this to game, you're buying this to feel nostalgia. Anyway, by the time this drops, your kids will be old enough to hate you for spending $250 on this instead of their college fund. It's kind of like the console equivalent of someone putting Gucci branding on a Furby. This console is so committed to authenticity, it even replicates the crushing disappointment of the original Nintendo 64's textures. We waited 2 decades for a 4K Nintendo 64, and it still won't make Superman 64 playable. Their slogan should be Analogue3D, because clearly your wallet hasn't suffered enough. Anyway, that's it. Stay crispy, gamers. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I swear, this is how all these YouTube slop channels generate their content. This is exactly what the videos sound like. This field, oh my god, dude, this is eerie. And the internet is fucking dead. There's no one alive on the internet making stuff anymore. Everything you see is AIs. I guess I did throw in some actual information that isn't just the AI, but like, come on, man. Don't waste your time watching this stuff. Alright, for real though. Bye. April Fools. Happy April Fools. Bye bye.